Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here. It's time for my final Oscar predictions. Before the nominations come out, I'll have more predictions after the fact. Don't you worry about that. But I'm sure you're probably thinking, Jan, why are you doing it now? I mean, you just had the Golden Globes, you got critics coming up next, you got the nominations for all the other big shows coming out. Why not wait until all of that is over? And I actually have a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I am going to be incredibly busy the next couple of weeks to the point that I really need to rush this video. I need to rush the editing. I need to get it out before the Oscar nominations come out because I don't think I'm going to have the time to do so otherwise. And also, I'm starting to get sick. You could probably hear it in my voice. So before I start to lose any life I have in me, I just gotta do this. I can't fuck around today. I'm just gonna be talking about the nominations in alphabetical order, the way the Oscars do it. So I'm not even gonna be talking about who I think is gonna win. I'm just gonna be talking about who I think is getting in. So with that being said, let's jump right on in. These are my Oscar predictions for January of 2025. For Best Picture, my predictions are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing, The Substance, Wicked. Yeah, look, this is probably like everybody's 10. I'm sure some people may be taking a risk on maybe A Real Pain, maybe September 5, maybe Challengers, but I think a vast majority of people truly do believe that this 10 are the 10 that are going to get into the Oscars. And aside from some sort of batshit crazy thing like, I don't know, The Substance not getting in despite everything that's been going on, or Sing Sing getting snubbed, which, granted, I think everything can possibly happen. I just don't think it's very likely at this point in time. But who knows? We've been surprised. There's times where everything does go according to plan, and this just feels like one of those years, which, yeah, it's kind of boring, but whatever. There's more categories and more places we can take risk at. I just don't think this is one of the ones that I'm going to do that for. For Best Director, my predictions are Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, Coralie Farge for The Substance. Nothing here has changed from last month. I still think this is a very solid 5 directors. Maybe Ramel Ross doesn't get in, though I really think that would be a snub, especially what he's managed to achieve with that film. And I don't think the Oscars could let something like that slide. I think it's right up their alley. They always have to have some sort of pretentiousness about them, and that just feels like the step that they have to take in order to honor the movie, the director, what have you. I mean, unless Denis Villeneuve pulls a comeback, and huge shout out to the critic circles, because I do see them actually starting to give him wins all of a sudden. And I feel part of that is them going, what the fuck? Why aren't we giving this guy an award? He deserves it. He's done 2 amazing films. He's done more than that, but especially back-to-back Dune films that have done the impossible. This is a book series that was said to be unfilmable, and he managed to film him and make it believable. So kudos to them. I don't think it's going to pan out for the Oscars. So I do think this is a solid 5. I think this is what we're going to go in with. Again, I think this is a category that could surprise. I'm not going to take the risk here just because I'm fine with this 5. Well, maybe take Jacques out and put somebody else in, but definitely don't do that if you want to get them right. For Best Actress, my predictions are Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. Yeah, I'm jumping on the whole Golden Globes bandwagon thing with Fernanda Torres. Some of you may think it's foolish. Granted, I think part of me thinks that too, but I've also heard so many people say that this Globes is more in line with the Oscars now. So I think I'm going to take it a little bit more serious, but Honestly, I think it's just a good nomination. So many people have said she's amazing in that film, so why not give the nomination to somebody not only for a good performance, but also for a good film? Yes, I don't have Angelina Jolie in here. She gives a good performance. I just don't hear the film is all that interesting. And so when you lose the passion behind it, yes, you have this one great aspect of it, but I think people want the overall package. And if they see I'm still here, they'll see they can get that with Fernanda Torres. And now that she's won, maybe more eyes are going to be on the film, on that performance, and more people are going to be voting for her as a result. So Golden Globes kind of set precedents. You'll see critics now all of a sudden start giving the wins to these people when they weren't giving them at all in the past. It's just the trend I always see year after year, jumping on the bandwagon. That being said, Demi Moore coming for that Oscar. All of a sudden, my video about could Demi Moore win the Oscar not seeming so outrageous. I'm sure some of the people are still holding on to the guns that she's not gonna make it, but I mean, you gotta at least admit she's gonna get nominated, and you have to at least consider the possibility that she could win. So I'm glad that I made that video. I'm actually pretty proud of it. So if you still haven't seen it, go back and check it out. And just remember, I made that video at the time where a lot of people were still going, yeah, she's probably not even gonna get nominated. So yeah, I got to my own horn at some point, and I know what I'm talking about from time to time. So that's what I got for this category. For Best Actor, my predictions are Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. Yes, I'm also jumping on the whole Sebastian Stan for Different Man thing. Look, the reason I'm actually including him here is because I really liked his speech at the Golden Globes. He won. I was already thinking, nah, I can't go that route. But as soon as he gave that speech where he's talking about not just his role in A Different Man, but also for The Apprentice, I was like, hell yeah, man, that's a great speech. I don't think they're still going to push for The Apprentice, although you have things like the BAFTA that film got into a lot of the lists thus far. We'll see if it actually makes the final cut, but there was the argument that maybe people overseas that don't have to really deal with the whole Donald Trump situation are more likely to vote for it just because they're like, this is actually entertaining. This is kind of fun. It's only here that people are like, I don't want to hear about that anymore. So if that's the case, maybe they'll still push for him for A Different Man. Honestly, I think that would be a really good nomination. I still think Daniel Craig has a really good chance of getting in. But again, like what I was saying about Fernanda Torres and I'm Still Here, why entertain the possibility of just a good performance in a movie that not a lot of people like when you have a good performance and in a movie that a lot of people like, that critics liked, and especially when you have two good performances from that actor and people are just not wanting to honor that second one. This might even be that kind of hush-hush, like, yeah, we're giving you the nomination for this, but secretly, we really wish we could give it to you for this. So that whole political drama stupidity that always goes on in Hollywood. I might be overthinking it, but honestly, I'd be very happy with this lineup. So that's what I'm going with for now. For Best Supporting Actress, my predictions are Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. No big surprise here. This is pretty much everybody's 5. I don't see really anything else happening apart from a big surprise, but again, like with the other ones that I said I don't want to take any risk on, this just seems like a solid 5. Plus, you already have your front runners here, so I don't know if I would entertain the possibility of some of the other ones kind of getting out to put somebody else in, because really, whoever they put in there, I just don't think is going to be in the winning conversation. You've got the picks already, so yeah, let's just stick with this, and I'd be completely fine with it. For Best Supporting Actor, my predictions are Yura Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Clarence Macklin for Sing Sing, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Once again, everybody's 5 is my 5. Again, just seems like a solid lineup. Maybe Denzel Washington gets in here. If you have him in there instead of Clarence Macklin, I understand. I can't leave out Clarence. He gives such a good performance. Denzel's had so many nominations. I really don't think we need to give it to him for Gladiator 2. Plus, a lot of people have kind of started shifting, saying, well, he is good there. He's basically just playing another version of himself, that crazy over-the-top antics that he likes to do in the film. So I think there's enough dismissing of it that I think we can shift over to Clarence. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just, he's just too good. We just cannot ignore Denzel. And yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise, but I really hope that doesn't happen. For Best Original Screenplay, my predictions are Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, The Substance. Yeah, I'm keeping September 5 in here. I think this is going to be its lone nomination. And who knows, maybe it just doesn't get any nominations whatsoever. But especially with how many times it's jump scared us from here and there, I feel the Oscars could at least push for a screenplay nomination. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the rest, nothing really has changed from last month. I think this is just good for, let's say. I haven't seen September 5th yet, so I can't comment on it. But, I mean, people have said it's a good film. It's just not this spectacular, amazing thing that a lot of people were building it up to be. But maybe good enough for a nomination here. For Adapted Screenplay, my predictions are Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing. Yeah, I mean, this is it. I don't know how many more times I can say this is probably everybody's 5. Maybe we'll get a surprise. I mean, rinse, repeat. I've said it multiple times now, and I'll probably say it a couple of more times. But if I have anything else to add, I will. Otherwise, it just is what it is. For Best Film Editing, my predictions are The Brutalist, Challengers, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, The Substance. Now I've got something to say, because a lot of you are probably going, where the fuck's Anora? For it to get completely shut out at the Golden Globes made me think, oh shit, maybe that's not a top 5 movie. Maybe people are liking it enough to nominate it, but maybe not enough to give it wins. And again, if you take a step back, doesn't it make sense to a degree? You're not going to have a huge amount of wins for the film, even if it was your front runner. And so because there's not a lot of aspects you can say, well, it also does this really well. It also does this really well. You have to give it cinematography. You have to give it this. You have to give that. Maybe people kind of shift over and go, The Brutalist. The Brutalist does have cinematography, it has score, it has great film editing, and you have all these performances you can nominate for it, and so people tend to look at that as the full-on package versus Anora. Now, granted, that's not 100% correct way of thinking, because you have films like Coda, you've had films like Spotlight that have won with just like the bare minimum. They didn't get a lot of nominations, so maybe not the right way of thinking. But how often does the film that really doesn't win a lot of awards overall go home the big winner for the night? I really would have to take a look back and see. It's just a train of thought I was thinking of while writing this. But I think overall, when you have a package that includes so many different categories, it just seems like more of a thing that people want to award overall. Or I'm completely overthinking it, I'm completely stupid, and Anora is going to be in film editing, and it is going to be a big contender, and it is still going to win its awards. Who knows? Again, these are predictions, but I have to take some swings, otherwise my list is pretty much the same as everybody else's, and that would just be damn boring. For Best Cinematography, my predictions are The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, The Girl with the Needle, Nickel Boys, Nosferatu. Nosferatu is doing pretty well in the critics circle, enough for me to really want to push it to get the win here, but that might be a pipe dream. That might just be a critic alone thing, and this probably is just going to go to The Brutalist. Regardless, I do think at least Nosferatu has a chance of getting in here, and yes, I'm still including The Girl with the Needle. There's just something telling me that's going to get into cinematography. And I think a lot more people are actually jumping on that train of thought. So whether somebody heard it from me, they started spreading it around and everybody jumped on board, or I was just ahead of the curve on that train of thinking, I'm going to take credit for it one way or another. So you're welcome, everybody. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. And then it doesn't get the nomination and I just look foolish. For Best Costume Design, my predictions are Conclave, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. Nothing really much more to add here. I did include Nosferatu just because I think this branch really likes that kind of gothic, horror-ish costume setting, so I think it has a good chance of getting in here, and I think critics have been nominating here quite a bit, but who knows, maybe I'm taking too big of a gamble with it being this nominated. You'll see it. I'm going to include it in a couple more categories, but I got a dream, you guys. I got a dream. For Best Makeup and Hairstyling, my predictions are A Different Man, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, The Substance, Wicked. I'm going to go off on a tangent and say that A Different Man getting nominated here for makeup and hairstyling is also a good indicator of why I think Sebastian Stan could get into Best Actor. Though not win, but nomination. Go back to my whole Demi Moore thing and explaining thing. Just, I don't know, thinking about the whole meta about it. Again, it doesn't make sense, but fuck it. If it's proven to be true, I'm going to use it. For Best Production Design, my predictions are The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. I'm not super confident in Nosferatu getting in here, but I was taking a look at all of the other possibilities and I wasn't feeling good about any of them. So it gets in by default, but just know that this is probably one that I'm definitely not going to get 5 out of 5. Or who knows, maybe I'll get lucky. Well, we'll see. For Best Animated Feature, my predictions are Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, The Wild Robot. I mean, what else you want me to talk about? So do I need to elaborate the list? Do I need to explain why these 5 is going to be the 5 that get into the Oscars? It's going to be getting in everywhere. So, I mean, what am I talking about? I don't have to justify this for you guys, but it's the 5 that is going to get in. It's just the way it is. It's life. You breathe air. You breathe these films in. It's just the way it goes. I got nothing else. Moving on. For Best Animated Short Film, my predictions are Au Revoir, Mon Monde, A Bear Named Watchdeck, Beautiful Men, In the Shadow of the Cypress, Wander to Wonder. I only managed to see 5 out of the 15 animated shorts that were shortlisted, which is hardly anything at all. So this is really a mixture of ones that I have seen that I thought were really good, and ones that I read the synopsis to that sounded really good that I wish I could have seen. So yeah, not feeling too confident here. Although, funny enough, I think in history's past, this has been my strongest in terms of predictions out of all the shorts. I don't know if that is still going to stand this year. I've definitely done the worst this year in terms of this category, but who knows? We'll see. The ones that I really liked that I included on here, I'm really vying for, and then we'll see what happens. For Best Documentary Feature Film, my predictions are Black Box Diaries, Daughters, No Other Land, The Remarkable Life of Ibelin, Union. Yeah, I got some big omissions on this list, and for various reasons. I have started to see a lot of the documentaries that were shortlisted, and I actually was underwhelmed by a couple of them. Some haven't been doing too well in the precursors, and then I had to include Union again just because I've been predicting that one since like almost my first predictions of the year. I took it out last month, and then I thought, if it gets in, and I've been predicting it since almost the very beginning, I'm going to be upset. Like, I lost faith in it. So I'm including it, but I'm not confident in it. It's just, if it gets in, I want to say, yeah, I was backing it from the beginning, and it took it all away. So there's that for you. If anything, it proves that I'm lucky and you should always have me on your side. And if it doesn't get in, then I'm not lucky and you should not have me by your side, but I appreciate if you have me by your side anyway. For Best Documentary Short Film, my predictions are I Am Ready, Warden, Instruments of a Beating Heart, Michaela's Voice, A Letter to the World, The Only Girl in the Orchestra, A Swim Lesson. I managed to watch 10 out of the 15 documentary shorts, which I consider pretty goddamn good. I read the synopsis to the ones that I had missed, and I'll admit I wasn't too impressed with what was written down. Again, it's just a synopsis. Sometimes it doesn't sound good on paper, but the execution is a lot better. But I didn't include any of the ones I had not seen. So these are the 5 that I've really, really enjoyed. Special shout out to Incident. I really, really like that one, but I just don't know what the Oscars are going to go for. What is essentially like camera, like security footage and nothing else. I feel like you could really pluck that from like the police, like, I don't know, portfolio, whatever they do it in, and just watch that and you get like almost the same effect. So I liked it. I know some people are voting for it, but I just don't know if the Academy are going to go for something that's kind of that dry in terms of its presentation. But that'd be cool if it got in. Apart from that, though, the rest of these, fantastic. I really like them, and I really would like to see them get in. For Best International Feature Film, my predictions are Emilia Perez from France, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies from Thailand, I'm Still Here from Brazil, Kneecap from Ireland, The Seed of the Sacred Fig from Germany. Yes, I'm taking some wild swings here. I mentioned this in the last video, but this category has had some surprises in the last few years where you're very confident certain ones are getting in, and then almost one of the more popular ones like gets snubbed and you're like, what the fuck? And they place something in there that you didn't see coming at all. So I'm trying to be ahead of the curve here and going for the ones that I think could be alternatives. Or this could be the year they decide not to do that and it's just like the 5 that everyone's talking about. But we've been here, this is like the 4th year in a row. So it's happened the last 3 years. I just don't see the 5 that everybody's talking about fully getting in here. I gotta take risks here and there, and this is definitely a category that I'm willing to do that for. For Best Original Score, my predictions are The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, Emilia Perez, The Wild Robot. I'm not feeling too confident in The Wild Robot, especially it losing at the Golden Globes. I think the overwhelming love for it has died down considerably. Or maybe the people that loved it were just so vocal that we thought people really did love it overall, and it really wasn't. So I just don't know if it will get the score nomination, but again, just like with the other category where I was taking a look at some of the alternatives, I just wasn't that impressed with the alternatives, so maybe it just gets in by default. Who knows? I had to include it just because I couldn't think of what else I wanted to put in there instead. That being said, Challengers, I had that scare. It didn't show up at the BAFTA list whatsoever, and I thought, oh man, I guess it's just not happening. And then it goes on to win the Golden Globes, and it's just kind of re-energized my passion for it. So even if it doesn't win, it's gotta get nominated. I'm holding on to that hope it's gotta get nominated. That would be a very cool nomination, and it would be a fucking amazing win if it went all the way. For Best Original Song, my predictions are Compress Repress from Challengers, El Mal from Emilia Perez, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, The Journey from the 6888, Harper and Will Go West from Will and Harper. So I had to include The Wild Robot for original score just because I had no alternative. But here for song, there are alternatives. I'm not going to go with Kiss the Sky. Again, I just don't know if that film really is as loved as the people who are very vocal about it are telling you it is. Like, I went to go see it, and it's a good film. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to trash it by any means. I just was very underwhelmed by it in the grand scope of I went in expecting this masterpiece that people were saying, oh, you're going to love it, especially if you're a parent, and it's cute, and that's about it. So I don't know, maybe more people are in the mindset that I am. And so, yeah, I just, like, if I could take it out of score and put something else in that I feel more passionate about, I would, but because I don't, I can't. But here, I am more passionate about the Harper and Will song, which is really cute. I really hope that the Oscars go for it. If Kiss the Sky ends up in here anyway, it wouldn't be a surprise. I'm not gonna, like, be super upset about it. It's not like it's a bad song or anything like that, but the more unique song is definitely Harper and Will Go West, and I would love to see it make the list. For Best Sound, my predictions are A Complete Unknown, Dune, Part 2, Emilia Perez, Gladiator 2, Wicked. Yeah, not much to say here. I think this is a lot of people's 5, maybe. I don't know. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this kind of feels like an underwhelming category. Like, I don't have any one thought about it. So I guess we'll just leave it at that. For Best Live Action Short Film, my predictions are Alien, I'm Not a Robot, The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, An Orange from Jaffa, Paris 70. So for live action, I managed to see 7 out of the 15 films that were nominated. So yeah, decent. Although I will admit a lot of the ones that I did watch, I wasn't too impressed with. So again, you'll get a mixture of ones that I did really enjoy and then ones that I read the synopsis to that I thought were really good. Now, typically in this category, the film that has the child in it goes on to win. And there were a couple of them with children in it, but I either read the synopsis or saw the short and I wasn't, like, too impressed with it. So who knows, maybe this will just be one of those years that that's not the case. But I truly don't know. This has always been my weakest category, even when I really try, and I really try. I just can't seem to wrap my head around the way people think for this category. So we'll see. Take my picks with a grain of salt. Actually, take it with a lot of salt. Like, just dump a whole bunch on there. Just clog up your arteries with salt. Just because that's how unconfident I am. For Best Visual Effects, my predictions are Alien, Romulus, Better Man, Dune, Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Wicked. I took out Mufasa, but part of me thinks that Disney films, live action Disney films like this, typically get in. So maybe that's not the smartest choice, but fuck it. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of underwhelming the way that whole thing has been presented. Don't get me wrong. It's made a buttload of money. It's, if you like, it had to come out earlier the year, I'm sure it'd be one of the highest grossing films of the year. So I get it. But I just think the passion behind it is not where it needs to be, especially for the Oscars. But who knows? I might be wrong. It might not even matter. They're just going to nominate it just because it looks impressive, I guess, maybe. For me, I put Alien Romulus in there just because it was shortlisted on so many lists to the point that I'm like, man, God, is this just going to get a whole bunch of nominations? But I just couldn't really justify squeezing it in anywhere. And as soon as I took Mufasa out, I'm like, oh, wait. That leaves room for Alien here. I feel confident with that one now, or I feel okay with that one. But we'll see if that pans out in the long run. And that is my predictions for what I think is going to get nominated at the Oscars. We're only days away from seeing the full-on list. I am going to record myself watching it live and then giving you some sort of update after the fact. I will hopefully have at least a little bit of time to be able to put up that video. Again, I'm going to be very busy these next 2 to 3 weeks, so I don't know how much time I'll have. I have some great ideas for videos. I wanted to do like my best of 2024. I might still put that out at some point. I also want to do my super ridiculous early 2026 Oscar predictions, as is my tradition. So if I can find time to squeeze those in, or at least, give you like quick little takes on them, I will. I have a feeling this video is already longer than I wanted it to be, so I'm wrapping things up right now and going to edit it, and hopefully you will see it very, very soon. But that's all I got. So let me know, guys, what you think in the comments below. It's gonna get nominated for the Oscars. Like always, subscribe. We're there. The Oscars, they're right around the corner. They'll be there before you know it. Next year's Oscars will be here before you know it, and then we'll all be dead. So, the joy of life. That's just the sickness talking. I'll get better soon, and I'll be more joyful. Until then, everybody, like always, stay safe out there, and have a good one.